Hey there YouTube, this is Greg ME 2005 and today's video is on old tools. Alright guys, a little story on this is these old tools were all used at one point pretty heavily by my grandpa, but he also got a lot of them from his dad, that would be my great-grandfather. And I don't even know the dates on really any of these tools, but I imagine these tools are anywhere from like the 1940s to like the 1970s or maybe even early 80s. I'm not really 100% positive, but I'll just show you guys a couple of these. I do know all these tools are made in the USA. Here's an old Craftsman, an actual hand drill. You can't even find these puppies anywhere now these days, and if they even make them, most likely they'll be made in China. Just cheap junk. But that's got a nice handle on it for your palm. Like I said, it's a Craftsman. So this is probably, I would say, that would probably be maybe 70s, 80s, I would say, this hand drill. We're getting a lot older than this, guys. We get over here, you could use that as a hand drill too. I put a little screwdriver Phillips bit in there. But yeah, this, it's hard to see. This is made in the USA. I don't know if camera focus, if it'll pick it up. But this is made in the USA. And I imagine that's probably from the 60s or 70s. But something like that now these days, like I said, that'd be made in China. It'd be cheap junk. And here one of these bad boys right here. This is a Stanley. And this puppy's made in the USA as well. I don't know if you guys can see that. But this is one of those screwdrivers you go like that. And the bit twist. A little bit of bit twist in action there. So that's kind of cool there. And some of these old screwdrivers got actual wooden grips on them. I imagine these are probably 60s. And I imagine these are all made in the US too, because really nothing was made overseas too much. We built everything on our own. So I got a Phillips, and I got a long flathead one as well. And these tools I decided not to put in my shop and use. These are just vintage, and they're kind of sentimental to me, and I thought these would look kind of cool just hanging them up in my foyer. This, to me, I don't know. Oh, this is called a Murphy. The brand is Murphy, so I imagine this is probably from the 50s or 60s. Because if I never heard of Murphy, and I've been around for 28 years, I imagine this bad boy's really old. But yeah, this thing's a little rusted, a little vintage looking. I'm not even going to clean any of these tools or anything up. Just let them be vintage looking. Next is this hammer pick thingy. I really don't know what this thing is called 100%, but you can tell this thing is old and beat up. And it's made by Stanley. And it does say made in the USA right on it. And here's another Stanley chisel. It's hard to see. I don't know if the camera will focus right, but it says made in the USA right on it. And that thing's old. You could just tell. They don't build tools like that. They're plastic and cheap Chinese steel. Here's another needle nose pliers. This one never had grips on them from what I can tell. This is made by Utica Tools, made in the USA. These puppies are old, man. Even the grips are just, you know, for the grip for the tips, there wasn't really much they made up on them. Here's an old Snap-on. I imagine this is from the 80s, obviously made in the USA. This is probably one of the newer tools out of these, but it's still old. Stepping down over here, look how old these wrenches are. I imagine these are all made in the USA too, and these are probably from the 40s is what I'm thinking. No one builds wrenches like this, and even got 3/8 inch, so that's probably 2, and this is probably 1 inch, like a little measuring thing going across. And some of these tools might be newer. These might be maybe from the 70s. This looks like Proto Angela's USA, manufacturer USA. This is made in the USA. Some of these tools are just old. Here's an old great neck. I imagine at one point great neck was made in the USA. And this, the way this pattern and the way the great neck design is says on there, I bet you, I put my bottom buck, I bet you this thing is made in the 60s. Couple really old looking, you know, hand saws. I'd imagine these are probably 60s too, just by the patterns of them. But they're old. This one don't have any pattern. This might be newer, but again, this is still old looking. I imagine that was probably made back in the 70s or at least 70s. And here's one right here. This one is called it's made in USA. Diston. It looks like the brand. Yeah, and I bet you this is probably made in the 60s or 70s as well. And right now I'm just putting all of them inside that Home Depot bucket. I bought this about 2 years ago. I've had these tools in here when I went through all my boxes of tools when my grandfather passed away. I got a couple work boxes of tools from him. And I know a lot of these tools that my grandpa was alive told me a lot of them were my great-grandpa's. And another thing too, these ladders are really old too. Casimir Electric Company, these ladders, these are old wooden ladders. They don't build them like that anymore. You cannot find old wooden ladders. Right here, Casimir Electric, this looks like September 27, 1968. So old wooden ladders right there. So I'll end up keeping these. These still work good. I use them out in the shop. I'll probably clean them up and probably maybe hang them or put them in the basement. But those are some just old vintage tools. I mean, what more can you say? I probably could go to an antique show and sell them, but I'm going to keep them. Like I said, they're sentimental to me. And yeah, depending on how much I fill on my wall space, I might go out and try to find more vintage tools to hang. Anyways, guys, this is Greg Me 2005. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Signing off, guys.